Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a Quick Money Chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/Quick Money Chat and get financial education personalized for you.
Hello and welcome to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. It is the third Thursday of the month. That means we are all about community health, and what better persons to be talking to today than Becky Myers and Delores Gare. They are with Warren Memorial Hospital. We're talking about the new healthcare campus that is going to be open soon. We're going to talk about the moving process today. This is part of our community health partnership with Valley Health. So, ladies, I am really excited. I was telling you before we started recording for the show that this whole process is so fascinating to me personally. I cannot wait to get in the weeds with you both and find out how it's going to work, because I'm sure it doesn't work anything like what I think it would work in my head.
Absolutely. Well, we are very glad to explain how we've been planning.
So, Becky, you are the director of acute care at Warren Memorial Hospital. How long have you been planning this?
Yes, ma'am. So this plan for the move has actually taken almost 2 years. So as soon as they were planning on breaking ground and building the foundation and the structure, we started the move planning.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, I knew that you didn't start it last month, but I didn't realize 2 years worth of work goes into it. Do you like sketch it out on paper? How do you start a process like that?
So there's a lot of planning meetings that we've had. Yes, paper is involved. We have done a lot of conversations about breaking down how we're going to move floor by floor and unit by unit and person by person. And so it really goes into a full-blown planning method where we have sketched out, we're going to move the first floor, second floor, and third floor, the days by the week, and the moving trucks, the ambulances, everything goes down to minute, and the traffic route that we're taking.
And I would guess that even changes as you go along, because you're planning to move into a building, 2 years ago, hadn't even had the concrete poured yet. Things change in the construction process. And this is going to be a much larger and a much more technologically advanced building than what you're coming out of. So you kind of have to plan for something you don't even have right now.
That's right. And that could be one of the challenges. It's very exciting and it gives us something to look forward to, but it also, you have to take into account those challenges and those things that aren't into play right now. Perfect example. We are going to be highly wired and utilizing much more technology than we have now and state of the art. And so we actually have an application called My Chart Bedside that we're going to have implemented. And it takes into account smart TVs in all of the rooms and iPads. And that infrastructure, they're still putting in, they're finalizing it now. And it may be finalized up into the day that we actually move. And so we're still having to plan on what that's going to look like. And it's not fully integrated yet.
And I would guess it's even more complicated when you factor in, like when somebody moves in their house, typically you pack up all the stuff that you never use on a regular basis. And then when you get down to a day or two before you're actually moving out, you're eating off styrofoam plates, you're using plastic silverware, and everything else gets packed up. You guys don't have that luxury because you have to kind of keep the same quality of care right up until 30 seconds before something goes on a truck or someone goes into a bus.
That's a very good point made. So yes, so in addition to the spring cleaning and the purging of old things that we don't need anymore or replacing with brand new that we're planning for, we can't lose sight of that. So it's daily operations, normal business, all the way up through this move. So it's very strategic. We're still, following our normal processes of breakfast, lunch, and dinner and normal day-to-day care for our patients. And we're streamlining that and making it where we're coordinating it. So we'll have a team at this site at our current campus and a team at the new campus. And there will be a very structured handoff of care. Everybody will have their breakfast that morning. Everybody will be well prepared, get their morning meds, their morning labs, their morning x-rays, and then coordinating with our Valley Medical Transport crew. They will be helping us transport the patients that will move from our campus to our new campus. And then there will be a care team there to receive them and get them all settled in.
Now, you're not doing all this in one day. I'm guessing this is going to be spaced out.
So the move for our patients is one day.
What?
We have it planned out so well that it's going to go off without a hitch, and I can say that. We've had a lot of involvement from a company that we have hired in to help us with this, who have great experiences. They've moved several hospitals, at least 20, if you compare them all together, in addition to their expertise. And then the crew that we have here with our current organization, who has had some move, Page moved not long ago, and Winchester just a while ago moved from Cork Street over to their current place. So we have various levels of expertise involved here.
I think we tend to forget about that. I totally forgotten about Winchester. I mean, I was born in the old Winchester hospital. My son was born in the new one. I totally forgot. Oh, yeah. I know that's where the hospital used to be, but I didn't think about how you had to get from point A to point B.
Right. And so, we've all learned a lot in all of this from moving. You think about, you're moving the equipment, you're getting new equipment in, you're moving patients, but you also can't forget, we need paper, we need printers, we need pens, and all of those tiny, minute details all go into it.
And you have to test, I would assume too, all of that equipment in the new spot, because you can't just assume you're going to put a patient in a new room, reconnect them to whatever they need to be connected to, and it's all going to work without a hitch.
That's right. That's a good point made. So we are really excited because we're getting all new beds for our inpatient units and stretchers for our ER, and the OR is getting brand new equipment. We're getting bedside monitors. We have some existing equipment that's going to move with us. And so when we move, our biomed crew will be there at the new campus and will be meeting us and meeting those patients that have equipment attached to them, checking it out, transitioning them over to new equipment, and then reestablishing the care with the equipment that we will be keeping. And you're right, we're doing a lot of testing right now. We have staff going over and learning how to use the functionality of all of this equipment. So in addition to our day-to-day operations and running our hospital with normal flow as it is now, we are still making time to have them come over and train, do practice scenarios, and work out any kinks so this all goes and flows well.
The other upside to this is that you're going into a facility with a lot more beds. You're going to have all of the rooms are going to be private rooms. There are going to be more beds. I'm going to talk to Delores in a second because she's getting more beds in the emergency department as well. So you're going to have a little bit more space to kind of spread out as you're getting things moved.
That's right. So it's another exciting piece to this is because, our current location, we've outgrown it. It was, the original structure was built in 1950. And so it's really exciting because, right now we're all close knit, working close together, tight packed in here. And our new units are larger. They have more space. Our med surge floor will remain with 24 rooms. However, they're all private rooms. They all have tremendous views of the valley and our spacious area around us. Each room has a spectacular view, and that's part of our healing concepts for sure. It's a mind, body, and spirit. And then our critical care step down is growing from 8 beds to 12 beds. And then I'll let Delores talk about a little bit about our ER and our clinical decision unit.
And the critical care unit is what most of us know as the ICU. It's just getting kind of a rebrand or a name change, which I think hospitals are doing across the country. This isn't something new to you guys here in Warren County.
Nope, that's perfect. So that's correct. We're still offering the same level of critical care to our patients, if not a higher level, given some more service lines that are coming available to us after this move. And so that is exciting because we are expanding and growing that service.
And you were talking a minute ago about the new private rooms. They're getting upgrades, not just for the patients, but for those of us that may be coming to visit or may want to stay with someone that's there. There's more comfortable seating and furniture for those of us that are just hanging out for a bit.
That's right. So you also can take advantage of these wide open views because every room has a window. It also has built-in seating in the rooms, which is very comfortable. They all have their smart TVs in them. So our families also get to take advantage of this My Chart piece where they can, if the patient wishes for them to participate, can integrate as well into this and be involved in the care. And they all have private bathrooms with the roll-in showers. Most of our rooms we have fit out with overhead lifts that are built into the ceiling. So it will help with patients that require some higher level of assistance and mobility training. And it'll help not only with the staff with repositioning and helping them set up to the side of the bed or reposition in the bed if they're immobile. It'll help with our ortho patients who are post-operatively that need a little bit more support. So it's a really exciting time.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Delores, I cannot wait to hear how you're going to move the emergency department because by nature, it's emergencies. You don't know what might be going on while you're in the middle of actually moving this department somewhere else. Can we talk about what's going to happen behind the scenes in the planning for moving the emergency department in the next segment?
Yes, I look forward to speaking to it.
We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. We are on the Zoom screen pre-recording our conversation today with Becky Myers. She is the director of acute care at Warren Memorial Hospital. Delores Gare is the clinical manager of the emergency department. This is part of our community health partnership with Valley Health. We're going to talk more with them about moving to the new hospital, which is happening in late June in just a couple of minutes.
Got a financial decision to make or a goal to reach, but you don't know where to start? You've come to the right place. Introducing Quick Money Chats with the Northern Shenandoah Valley Financial Education Program. Visit tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat to schedule a virtual chat with a staff member or trained volunteer. We won't tell you what to do, but we will give you the tools you need to choose wisely. And because Virginia Cooperative Extension is part of Virginia Tech and Virginia State, your land-grant universities, you can be sure that our information is credible and trustworthy. And you'll know that we aren't trying to sell you something. Maybe you want to improve your credit score, or reduce your banking overdraft fees, or even figure out if you can afford to buy that car. Sorting through tons of information on the internet can be overwhelming, and sometimes it can be hard to know who to trust. Schedule a quick money chat and get the information you need to take action. Go to tinyurl.com/quickmoneychat and get financial education personalized for you.
Welcome back to the Valley today. I am your host, Janet Michael. Happy Thursday as you are listening to the show today. It is our Community Health Day in partnership with Valley Health. We are talking about the big move, the big Warren Memorial Hospital move. It is happening on June 23rd. I am pre-recording my conversation today with Becky Myers. We talked to her in the first segment. She is the director of acute care for Warren Memorial. Delores Gare is also on the Zoom screen with us. She is the clinical manager for the emergency department. And Delores, Becky and I talked a good bit in the first segment about all of the planning and all of the little things that me as a regular person would never have considered about needing to be done and thought about in a move. I can't even begin to grasp what has to go into moving an emergency department. It's an emergency.
That's right. Yeah, so there's a lot that's taken into consideration. I think the biggest concern of even the staff members is what happens when somebody comes up to the emergency room doors when we really have shut those doors down. And so patient safety, of course, is number one in this move, whether we're talking the inpatient side or the emergency department. But some of the things that were taken into consideration was, what is our typical lowest census day? So what day of the week do we not have that many patients come in? And we sort of gamble that it's going to be that same day of that week, which would be on Wednesday. So on average, our lowest number of patients come in on Wednesdays. So that was one thing. And the other thing is that, of course, when patients show up at 6 o'clock in the morning, which is our stop time of when we can actually take patients into our old ER. So the license changes over at 6 a.m. So if somebody comes into the emergency department, if they come by car and they come to the front door, we actually will be calling 911 for those patients that would require an ambulance transport to the new hospital. So, taking that into consideration, that is not, it almost goes a little against our grain as nursing professionals and medical doctors that we should treat a patient right there. Well, we will be with them. We will make sure that the ambulance, that handoff takes place and that patient gets over to the new facility safely.
And you mentioned something a second ago about the license. I want to make sure that people understand and realize that you didn't arbitrarily set this date because you don't want to deal with people at the old building and you want them to come to the new building. It's not necessarily, once that date was decided, it's out of your hands where you're going to treat these patients after that date and time.
That is correct. It is all a part of the regulatory process. And so 6 o'clock in the morning on June 23rd, our license to practice at the old facility no longer stands, but our new license does. And that is why that time has been chosen.
I've made little notes on my shows for that entire week, from the Wednesday prior to the Wednesday of, so that I can mention every single day, hey, y'all, if you have an emergency today, remember, this is where you need to go.
Right.
And there will be clear signage that is up in front of the hospital. There are plans to cover the signs at a certain point in time during that process. So there is a lot of planning to where, some of us are coming in at 4:30 in the morning to be prepared for that move. And there are roles and responsibilities that are handed out to different people. And those roles and responsibilities are reviewed, often so that we have it down. And just as Becky had alluded to in the previous segment, we practice those things. So we've had a run through of what it will be like to walk a patient from the inpatient to the elevator down the hallway, what pathway we're going to go with the ER patients. And so that we have it as a finely tuned machine the day that move occurs. And in addition, I frequently speak with the staff in huddles to keep them informed almost daily. That, we gather in the mornings when we do a shift handoff of our shift, and we talk about that move and what's going to be included on that particular day. The machines or the equipment, we have to tag our equipment of what is hands down has to go that day, that morning, and what we can wait on till that afternoon or that next day. But I can assure the public and our community that all of the equipment that we would need to safely treat them at the new facility will be there and will be available to help diagnose and move them through the process if they should present that morning.
I have this crazy dumbed down vision in my head of red and green sticky notes on post-it notes on pieces of equipment. The red has to go right now. The green can wait a day or two.
In all honesty, that's exactly what we have. Not necessarily sticky notes, but the moving company that we have handed us the sheets of stickers that go on that red is emergency as we know it, right? And so that is correct. We're visual, and if we have that visual in front of us, we know how to sort through that and move things forward.
I would guess, though, that the bulk of people that come into the emergency department are probably coming via ambulance, via rescue squad, 911 calls, things like that. Have you been doing trainings with them as well? Because they're going to have to get used to a new environment when they roll up at the door.
Yes, we had the opportunity to give tours in the most recent weeks to all of the EMS providers on all of the shifts, and we walked them through the new hospital. But part of that tour, when we were in the emergency department, was speaking to how that process is going to work, what it's going to look like that morning. And, they enter our ER doors, and, the doors open through them, somebody opening it for them, or use a proxy card or something. We'd have to review all of that, but they have been very well informed. And of course, we keep in close contact with the leadership of police, fire, all of the responders in the community are very well aware of that transition and what it's going to look like.
And much like Becky was explaining about the different types of rooms and how much more you're going to have, the new equipment, the emergency department is going to be much larger. You're going to have more beds there. You're going to have more spaces designated for things. You're even going to have things like the CT, the X-ray, and the MRI located in your department now.
Well, that's correct. We've put in our budget some money for roller skates. No.
Nice.
We have a lot of space, and we are really looking forward to it. And I think that, when the community is able to come in and see the space, not just in the ER, but throughout the entire hospital, it really is a very comfortable place to be. And I know that we will thoroughly enjoy the area, although it's a lot of walking in the different areas. The staff have been in, they've seen it, they love it. Beautiful colors, we have 18 rooms in the emergency department. We already have mapped out the flow of how we're going to room patients during what times. Our desire is to bring patients back immediately to a room and get them started in the process. And so I think one thing that is important to kind of drive home here is that this has been staff driven. And when we talk about how we're going to operate in the hospital, we have staff involvement. We want the frontline staff to be able to determine what is most efficient and best for them as well. And so part of that flow with the emergency department was putting this information out. Okay, let's look at the rooms. Let's look at what should open during what time, who should have what. And we came up with a flow chart that would, I think, work very well. And we also know that, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the road, it's just not looking like we thought it would look. So we, again, go back to the planning table and work it through that.
Mm-hmm. So Delores, in addition to the extra beds that are happening in the emergency room, you're going to have other rooms for other things that you haven't really been able to have in the past.
That's correct. This is an 18-bed emergency department. It also has a 5-bed clinical decision unit. A lot of people ask what that is. So if you come to the emergency department, let's say you have a kidney stone and after 6 hours your pain is not under control, we want to move you over to this clinical decision unit until we have your pain under control. They have actual hospital beds there. These are folks that will be maybe in a 23-hour observation status and will be discharged home within that time frame. So we're very excited about those 5 beds. We also have a couple rooms that are safe rooms for patients that come in that are struggling with their behavioral health, and we want to make sure they stay completely safe. And so those rooms are set up a little bit different. We have bariatric rooms that will help with the ergonomics of lifting the bariatric patient over to a bed. And then of course we have 2 very large resuscitation rooms, trauma rooms, so that we can take care of those acutely ill patients that come in. So all the space that we have, it really is divided out to meet the needs of anybody that comes into the emergency department.
I can't even imagine how many red lines have gone through planning notes for both of you. How many things have popped up. We were talking during the break about a last minute VDOT road project that was going to impact being able to move some of this stuff. There are things that probably have popped up, Becky, that aren't even in your control. I mean, it's one thing for you to understand and realize, okay, well, this is going on, but construction delays, road projects, things not arriving when they're supposed to that are totally out of your control.
That's another good point made, Janet. We are coming out of a pandemic, and COVID actually, in the months of March, April, and May of last year, several of the companies, like the HVAC company, the manufacturing plant, shut down their work and was focused on, I think they started to manufacture masks and filters instead of working on HVAC equipment. That delayed some of the construction. The construction crews were limited on the number that could actually physically be in the building per time based on CDC guidelines. Several other things were put into delay, getting out here, shipping and receiving some of our equipment. Some of our beds were delivered a little bit later than we had expected, but they're here and they're in place now. But taking all of that into consideration has been an impact here, and several other types of construction equipment were delayed getting in.
Well, and separate and apart from all of the hospital stuff, all doctors' offices are moving. The multi-specialty clinic is moving. Front Rural Family Practice is moving. You've got all of that to do. I hope you're going to take a deep breath after the hospital moves and give a day or two before you start moving everything else all over again.
That's right. So it is always full steam ahead. However, as we had talked about it being very meticulous, we're moving administrative offices, one day. We're moving our surgical services one day, our cath lab, basically that second floor one day. And then our physician offices are moving a couple of days after the acute care move. So they're getting into their new location. And then a little while after that, I think the multi-specialty and then ortho will be moving there as well. So it's all meticulously planned out and structured, but you're right. It's not all one day. It's over a couple of days.
A couple of months ago, I talked to Floyd Heater, Terry Mays, and Jenny Grooms from the foundation, and we were talking kind of at the 40,000 foot level about the new hospital. And one of the things that Jenny was just so excited to be able to talk about was the trails, and how they're not just for the patients, they're for the entire community as well. You guys are going to probably be using them as staff more than anything after you get through this move, just for your woo-saw moments. How happy are you that things like the trails were incorporated into the overall design of this new hospital?
We are extremely blessed to have that donation from the family that donated the funds for this and the vision for it. It is tremendous, the impact it's going to have on the mind, body, and spirit piece of it for all of us. So our patients, the community has access to that, and the staff and the lookouts. I haven't personally been up there yet, but I've seen pictures. Hopefully, after this move, I'll have some more time to be able to take a free stroll up there. However, it is going to be integrated into our own personal well-being, because you have to take care of yourself too, and this is just a gorgeous location to be able to do that.
And Delores, through this pandemic, I think we have all learned how important frontline workers are to our sustainability as a community and as a country. I am guessing this is going to be a really good thing for you and your staff to be able to take a minute and take a walk or spend, between shifts or something out there and enjoy that. This is going to be something life-changing, I think, for a lot of the staff at Warren Memorial Hospital.
Yes, we literally will be able to get a breath of fresh air. We are notorious, when I say we, healthcare providers are notorious for not taking care of ourselves the way that we need to. And one of the things that we do know is that when you walk outside and you get on one of those trails, the phones that we carry around in the hospital won't work. And that's a good thing, right? That's a little mental break from not being interrupted on that time that you want to go outside and take your walk and again, exercise. We don't take time for ourselves the way we should. So that'll be a nice little time to get a little bit of exercise, come back in, be rejuvenated and ready to, finish out our shifts. So it'll be great.
So Becky, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put you on the spot, and I'm going to say, so the hospital is moving on June 23rd. The office is a few days after that. So I am going to book you for a Valley Today in August. I'm going to give you 60 days, and we are going to record the show from one of those overlooks.
That sounds great.
That way, if you haven't yet been able to do it, you will have to do it because it'll kind of be part of your job.
That'll be just fine.
So where can people go if they want to follow this process? Do you have kind of an outline? Do you have a timeline on your website? Where can people go so that they're kind of staying up to date on what's going on and knowing when what's getting moved where and where they need to go?
So our Valley Health marketing crew has done a great job on prepping this information. They can check out the Valley Health Link webpage. There are TV commercials going on that are talking about our new campus. And there's also flyers going out into the mailing circulars to their homes. And also offices are giving out letters when they're scheduling their follow-up appointments that are going to fall into, they'll be in their new location. And then also there's instructions being given when we're discharging patients.
And Delores, ideally, if someone has an emergency at 6 a.m. or later on the 23rd of June and they're transporting themselves to the emergency department, go to the new hospital. That's the key thing.
That is correct. We want everybody to, starting at 6 a.m., we will have staff present. And there's a clear parking lot for emergency room patients and a very clear signage that indicates where they need to go. And yes, 6 o'clock forward, it is, open to them.
At 351 Valley Health Way.
I was going to say, we didn't even say where it was. We just going on the assumption that everybody knows where this new hospital is going to be. And Delores, it's going to be a parking lot that won't have helicopters landing in it because I understand you're getting your own helipad.
That is correct. There is a helipad that is just off to the side of the parking lot so they could sit in their cars and watch the helicopter land. We ask people not to go to the fence where the helicopter's landing, but we do not need to call the local fire department to come and help, stage the landing, and which is really great because that gives them that resource back to the community for when they are in need of calling 911 for, a local fire company. So not only are we excited, I know the air crew is very excited to have a landing pad, and they've already touched down on it when we had our active shooter drill. And so everybody is very familiar with where that helicopter needs to land.
Well, ladies, thank you both so much for taking some time out of your day to kind of walk me through the logistics of this. I am quite impressed, I have to say.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And
yes,
we are very excited for this new community endeavor.
Thank you very much.
And I will say next Thursday, after my live show with Lieutenant Warren Gosnell, I am heading over to the new hospital for a tour. We're going to do some video. I'm going to record my conversation with Floyd Heater. That is an episode that you will hear the first week in June. So watch the station's Facebook page, watch my personal Facebook page, because I am going to blow it up with all the cool stuff that I am going to learn and see when I do the tour. I will be back tomorrow. It is United Way Day. We are chatting with Beth from Response Inc. over in Woodstock, and Elise, of course, from the United Way of Northern Shenandoah Valley. So meet me back here for that show tomorrow, just a few minutes after noon.